Roll Bombers, baby. We are back. What is up?
Back.
Mike Lopez back in the house.
How we doing there? Happy to be back. Happy to be here.
Man, we got some great reviews, got great comments off of all your content that you put out for us. And then you really went into overdrive with your own stuff, man. I know the people that followed from my account appreciate it.
I'm happy to hear that. It was very warmly received last time, I think, on both ends. So that was good to hear. So I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, man, what a collaboration, right? Even though it's a blue shirt and white shirt combo, it's a little callback to the
Same
old
team.
glory
Same
days.
team.
Yeah, same team, same
Same
team.
team.
So I know the people who followed Mike after the first podcast in October know that things have changed. But for those of you who don't, I wanted to bring Mike on for a few different reasons. But one of them was this guy back in October, maybe it was December. I'm not sure when you made the change.
Around that time, yeah.
Ended up and going to pursue a new career in Nashville. And he's songwriting, he's lyric writing, he's doing open mics. I mean, man, the guy is going for it. Something that I can really appreciate. And I wanted Mike to kind of share what's changed and what he's been going through. And then we can talk a little bit more about like the creative aspect of what he's doing.
Love that. Right on. What's changed? What hasn't changed? Everything. Everything. Everything has changed. Um, but to put the last couple of months into a couple sentences, if you will, I think the main thing was the career change, right? Having left being a high school health teacher
Mm.
and football coach and lacrosse coach and real estate agent. The last deal I did was selling my house in May. School ended this past June. So then I left teaching. Been doing a little bit of traveling in between. And then I finally came to the realization that, I want to be in a location that best suits my interests and my passion. And Nashville checked the box.
Yep.
Because this is Music City. And so the main thing I'm here for is songwriting. Um, but it's kind of interesting, and we spoke a little bit about this earlier, that I, being in this city, wonderful city, fun city, as inspiring as it is and motivating and just absolutely radical within in like the musical industry, it's very easy to get imposter syndrome too. So I
Sure.
haven't put myself, which it's like a double-edged sword, because when I had moved here, right, this is going on month 3 now. I didn't know anybody. I really don't have any family and friends here. So now I'm in a new environment, new city, with everything's new. Everything's new. I just
It's
showed you
quite
the
a
guest.
challenge.
Yeah, it's quite a
Quite a
challenge.
challenge.
There's a lot of change at once, and uh, right now I'm certainly in the beginning stages of trying to network, trying to speak, trying to demonstrate any ability I think I might have, and then trying to chop it up with a lot of these local people. And there's a lot of talent around here. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, it's almost like surrounding yourself around the right people will uplift, your own abilities. And I think
Oh yeah,
it's a common move for people because of that very reason, right? You want to be around people that are kind of like yourself, doing things, stepping out of their shelves,
yeah.
and you never know what can come of it, right? And God, what do we? We're I know you turned 30 in what, August or September?
In September.
September. I'm in April, so like we're almost at 30. So when, if not now, when are you going to pursue a dream that pops up?
If not now, when? That's a great. Hey, listen, I'm trying my best to live by that exact phrase, if you will. And I know you're doing the same thing, which is why I love being on here chatting with you. Because it's one thing to say it, it's one thing to agree, it's one thing to give advice to other people and say that's a good idea, you should go for it. Now's the time. But when you're the one that's walking in those shoes,
Yeah.
the uncertainty that lies ahead seems insurmountable at you know more than one occasion, we'll say.
Mm.
there's at least something that gets in my head, which I almost hate to admit, but there's something that gets in my head every single day and just kind of trickles in and be like, and it's just like, what are you doing? But if you can, which has been my number one thing here, is to be around people that are like-minded. You said it best.
Sure.
And you see that they're having the same challenges and stressors and difficulties. And then you look at how they live and how they manage their mind and their day to day, right? And their energy and their time. And you learn and you learn. And it's like, do you want it or not? And who's going to learn
Mm.
that the fastest? So I'm in the thick of it right now. You caught me
Yeah.
at a good time.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, there's like that saying, right? You are who you surround yourself around.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, kudos to you for making that shift. And we were talking about it before we, started recording. But I think, a story like yours is so important because more often than not, someone around our age is now looking themselves in the mirror and being like, man, what am I doing? I want to do this. I want to pursue this. And you see people making those changes, but you also see this type of resistance of like, I'm not. I'm just going to stick with the status quo. And you hear the word misery, myself included, thrown around all of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not only important for, I think, for people our age, right? But also young people to understand that you don't have to walk a path of status quo, that you can just go for it in general,
Mm-hmm.
even in college, outside of college, whatever it may be. So let me ask you this, like, what was the final straw? I mean, I know you've been writing for years and you just published a book years ago. Like, what was the final straw? Were you like, you know what? I've had enough of the little man in my head. I'm doing it.
I think the final straw fell and broke quite some time ago, but I wasn't able to do what I'm doing until something very significant happened, which was the sale of my own home. And even that was difficult, right? To have a little bit of money just to kind of jump ship and try to figure it out.
Yeah.
Even that was difficult because I had moved like six, maybe seven times growing up. That's like before
Mm.
college, six or seven times. And one of those living situation for me, my mother, my sister, my brother, and our two dogs. We all shared a one-bedroom apartment
Mm-hmm.
above like an auto mechanic garage. And now we're in this like house by the lake, and it was just an absolute dream come true. And
Yeah.
now we finally get here, especially for my mother. And it's like we could stay here, but if we sell it, I'm going to be able to pursue this dream. So it's like, ooh, okay. It's kind of like a little bit of pressure. It's like you're
Sure.
going to give this up, and are you sure you want to do that? Because it took a lot to get here. And for me, which ties back to your question, was I was waking up every single day for years, and there was not a sense of joy. There was a sense of the next 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours of my day is primarily going to be something that I don't want to put my energy towards
Mm.
emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually. It is not going to be something that gives me a return that I'm looking for. And I don't feel, in the cliche sense of it, I did not feel fulfilled and I didn't feel content.
Yeah.
And as the years went on, it's kind of like, when are you going to do it? And so
Yeah.
that same voice would speak back and say, whenever I can. When that house sold, my mom had to talk me. My mom had to talk me off the ledge, and she's like, "You got one more month of school. Just ride out June, and then you can leave." She goes, "You don't have to leave in 1 month." But I was ready to go, man. So I
Sure.
was like, "Man, there's like blood in the water. I'm going for it. Like as soon as I can, I'm out of there." And you know, it's very motivating and encouraging. But those things leave us, right?
Sure.
Anyone can feel motivation and inspiration, but they don't stick around. So it's like when those things leave, are you going to be sure that you wanted to take this path? And as scary as it is, I'm very happy that I jumped ship. I'm very happy,
Dude,
even with all the uncertainty that lies ahead.
That's so awesome. There was a few things I heard in there that like made me so happy, but
Mhm.
like something that is quite inspiring, right? And I think people don't understand the process. What they see is you churning out material, and seamlessly out of nowhere, you're now in Tennessee or in Nashville. How
Yeah.
did that happen? What is he doing in there? When did he
Yeah.
start writing music? But it's something all along that you knew that you were going to do or had the passion to do. But something I think is really important for people to take away was you were methodical with it to the point where when you saw that gap, that shot, that opportunity, the blood in the water, that like, hey, it's now or never.
Hmm.
And kudos to your mom, wonderful lady.
Yeah.
Thank God she did give you like the 1 month, right?
That's
But
good.
I
That's good.
I think that's a combination of like two different things, right? The sense of urgency
Hmm.
and also the sensible way of like methodically planning out that jump.
Yes. Yeah. Because there's a lot of gray area with that when you're going to go for something you really want and there's uncertainty, right? There's always going to be gray area. There's always going to be people to say that's a brilliant idea and you should do that if you feel that strongly. And there's always going to
Mm-hmm.
be people to be like, maybe you should make a little bit more money. Maybe you should save for this first. Maybe you should try that. Maybe you should. And neither of them are wrong. So it really becomes an individual thing internally of if I don't do this, how is my life going to be,
Yeah.
right? Because that's it was almost pushing me forward to try these new things and head out on this new venture. Not so much because like, oh, what's going to happen, what could happen. It was more scary to me what is happening. And
Sure.
what's happening was I'm waking up every single day and I'm not liking. I feel like my passion and creativity is not being able, I'm not able to be expressed and fulfilled or even practice or exercise. And that was just gnawing at me. That was very difficult to live with.
Hey man, it's a real thing. It's a real thing. The what if, right? Sure, you can stay with this job with savings, with a house, yeah, but then you're also fighting this misery every single day, and then you're fighting off the misery with different types of indulgences, whether that's alcohol or food, and then your body, and then you're not getting outside, and here you are, 20 years later,
Uh-huh.
out of shape, unfit, unhealthy. Oh,
Yeah.
you sure you got a retirement, but you're worse and better off for it. And all the matter, you're not taking care of your noggin because you didn't
Mm-hmm.
essentially pursue what you probably should have all along. I mean, it's
100%. That's that like resentment that starts to build up in a lot of people. And man, that was, I mean, geez, we're 29, right? Like, and that was already building up in me. So the thought of me being 65 and having that compound over the years was
yeah.
was frightening to me. So you hit the
It's
nail on
so
the head.
funny, and I imagine that you probably feel the same way. But like my parents are two blue collar people.
Hmm.
Two, they owned their own businesses separately, worked endlessly to give me and my brother like every opportunity, and I'm extremely grateful for it. Right, and my father specifically has this blue collar job, still physically working and doing things, and when he needs to for his company that he runs, and he never ever would consider handing the business down to me or my brother because he's like, you guys are, I've worked too hard. You guys go do better things. And my mom, like, too, like, they just endlessly sacrificed for me and my brother. And I recently told them, like, with my job change, like, this was a lead up of a year of just like me trying to work through it. And I said, you guys work too hard for me to be this miserable.
Wait, wow, that's
You
crazy.
know,
For real. For real.
it's true.
Man, you're right. You're right. It's like your parents or guardians, right, whoever it may be, are doing so much and have done so much to put you in this position. And for me to like not be satisfied or not be going after it is almost like ridiculous.
Hmm.
That's a great way to
I
put that.
I mean, I'm telling you, I've said those exact words, to my parents, and there's not much, to say after that. Obviously, we have to address what's at hand, and I have. But while we're talking, like it just makes me think of an instance of this book that I sent you, right? And I'll
Yeah,
show it.
yeah.
I actually heard this from another podcast, The War of Art,
Mm-hmm.
and we're kind of talking about it already, but the whole theme is about like your creative process being really shut down by this form of resistance. And resistance can come in any form, like as Mike said, whether it's someone not supporting you or just like a time or even just like, hey, the security of a job or just like, hey, I'll do it tomorrow. That is like true to its form. And I know I sent you a couple clips and I'll send you the book after this. I think it's true to the form that resistance is the true killer of creativity. And I want to hear from your experience how and what kind of resistance that you've had to power through and how you continue to do it on a daily basis because it's not going to go away.
I mean, that's great. So I think like the essence of of creativity is creation, which means there's something new coming about, right? If you're creating
Mm-hmm.
something, whether it's written, spoken, thought, shared, built, it's something new. And when you're doing something new, whether it's big or small, by yourself or with other people, you're always going to have to find a way to connect and relate to like that next new thing. And
Mm-hmm.
so when you start building on that, it starts to feel like, is this even me? Like,
Sure.
am I even capable of doing this?
Mm-hmm.
What is this aspect of me or this side of me or this thought or why do I want to feel this way? It's all new. It's all being created. And so I found myself like as I'm reaching not levels, just like different parts of myself and different parts of like my writing and music. Once I kind of break through and create something, part of me feels very happy and very like profoundly connected to that.
Mm-hmm.
And then part of me says, well, compared to everyone else's, it's not that good.
Sure.
And it's very easy for any type of creator to compare anything they do to anyone else because of social media and the internet, right? And I'm not saying that in a bad way against that. I'm just, anyone can look at your stuff, whatever you're building or creating,
Mm-hmm.
and immediately size it up with everyone else. And it's very difficult to kind of fend that off. Because by
Yeah.
nature, we're going to judge ourselves and we judge other people and they judge us, right? It's very difficult to do that. But I think what is a good thing for me is, I mean, I have things like, I wish I had taken on a tour, but I have things like written all over the place, whether it's on my phone background I'm looking at now, certain
Mm-hmm.
books I always keep by me, post-it notes in my car that are like daily reminders of what are you doing and why are you doing it. And
Sure.
none of anything I'm doing, as selfish as it sounds, I'm not doing anything for anyone else. It's solely for me.
Yeah.
And if it is solely for me, if I feel good about it, that should be my own sense of validation. And every
Mm-hmm.
time I catch myself in a negative run, I'm like, oh, why am I feeling so terrible about this? Like I just
Mm-hmm.
created a little song or a poem or a book or whatever, and I feel great about it. And then an hour later, I'm like, what am I doing, man? This isn't that good. This is kind of silly. Wow, I look stupid on this video. And I'm like, how does someone go from feeling so good about something intrinsically, like really feeling good about it, to just crushing themselves? How does that happen?
Sure.
And it's always that same common theme. I'm starting to take other people's opinions and perspectives and the what ifs into play, and that never does me. That external validation, I haven't seen anyone thrive consistently off that and feel good about it. It doesn't
Yeah.
work for anyone.
That's like I'm just like hearing you talk just in general how really you kind of filter through the noise. And I think it's like so obviously you're practicing like this mindfulness of being like, hey, like, how is this like impacting me? What's really important? How do I truly feel? One of my previous guests was a co-founder of this foundation called the Change Agent Academy. Essentially, they're really trying to help people and how they're thinking, and it's this whole course. His name's Forbes Shannon, and he does a phenomenal job with it. But one thing they say in that course that like was one of the first things that put me on my ass, and I was like, oh shit, that's a good one. This guy, his mentor, his partner, Aaron Bear goes, you need to start thinking about things and how they're serving you. So when something pops up in your head, ask, how is this serving me? Hey, I just put out that new podcast. It sucks. Hey, I look like Casper the Ghost right now. How is that serving me? How does that help me? Obviously, I'm going to need to change this light bulb and try new lighting, but how does it serve me to really hold on to that rather than be like, you know what? Doesn't matter how pale I look, then maybe I'll never wear a light shirt again. But
I got the yellow lights. I got the yellow lights in here. It's helping me out.
I had the yellow light. Then it was like it was too much volume on me. I'm trying it all out. But that's, to your point, man, it's all about trial and error. But I hear that in the way that you're working through things, you're asking yourself without asking the actual question, how does this serve me? Right? And it's powerful. I think it's powerful because, you could speak to it. Like, it's not easy to just put yourself out there.
No, especially on public display.
Yeah.
Like you can have any dream you want in your own heart and your own mind, but when you start to share that with other people, you open it up to other people giving their 2 cents. And even if you shared it one time with them a couple months ago, the next time you see them, they're going to bring it up and be like, how's that progress on that? You making any leeway on there? Mm-hmm. And it's like a little bit of pressure. I think that's why a lot of people, this was something you spoke about earlier. I think this is why a lot of people keep that. Some of the things they think about every day is on their mind, that they're feeling and thinking about all the time, and no one knows it.
Sure.
Because if you put it out there, oh, hang on now, we all get a say in this. I think we can comment on it. We can look at you differently. Why do you feel so strongly about it? It's like people don't want to open that can of worms if they're not sure how to deal with it,
It's hard. It's hard to trust yourself that no matter what they say isn't going to bother you.
Yes.
Why are you saying it? Are you saying it for them to understand what's going on, or are you saying because you need justification for what you're doing? Yeah, right. And if you need justification from someone else, then you're never going to get it. You're never going to get enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fleeting. Yeah, you can never get enough. Those are those things, man. If you chase them, the things that you can always have more of, those are the scariest things to pursue, man. Like money, there's always going to be someone richer. If you're going for looks, there's always going to be someone better looking. Like whatever it is, right? Like pleasure, anything pleasurable, right? Fun seekers, thrill seekers, alcohol, etc. There's always a new level. There's always a higher high, and if you're chasing that, like you're chasing something you will never catch.
It's funny. I forgot to bring it up when you said it, but as you were saying that, it reminded me of a word you used. You said contentment, or content. Either or, whatever form you used it. I recently talked to my wife, Christina, like a couple months ago about this, the concept of contentment and complacency, and how they're pretty similar, but they're so different. Look it up. Everyone stop the video and go Google the two definitions.
Yeah.
Contentment actually has this positive definition and meaning. Complacency has a slight negative feeling to it.
Yeah, 100%.
And that contentment is peaceful, is the peace that people think, hey, this fame, money, whatever, drugs, alcohol, whatever it is, that's going to give me. But it's crazy that the peace is really where you find that contentment and the happiness, and that's where you probably can be your very best self and put out some of the best results in whatever you are doing.
Oh yeah. Well said.
Yeah. So I do want to ask you just one thing because I think it
Yeah.
relates a lot to what we are talking about on a daily basis or a weekly basis here on the climb. And if anyone knows Mike, this guy can make friends with a pole. He can make friends with a wall. He can make friends with a dog, a grand stray dog. He can befriend anyone. Try to stay mad at Mike. You can't. Honestly, I've seen so many situations where
Yeah.
any of our friends were to do something, if we would go nuts on him. Mike does it, like, oh, this guy, right? Am
True.
I wrong to say that?
I'll admit to that. I'll admit to that.
Yeah.
Saved me a couple times. It saved me a couple times.
So interestingly enough, you mentioned connecting with people as one of the first things that you felt like you needed to do being in a new city.
Hmm.
And I think that's so important on many levels, but I want to like hear it from you because that's something that is so huge a part of the climb is to continue conversation and find people and Team Garbo, really the whole when roots are deep, there's no reason to fear the wind. Man, you packed up, you grabbed your tree, you put it in the trunk, and then now you're planting it. You gotta water
Yeah.
the thing and you gotta find roots, and that's where you are. So I mean, walk us through what was going through your mind and how important those relationships really mean for you.
Oh man, like being in a new city. I mean, it's very the sense of loneliness can creep in very fast when you
Sure.
truly have no human beings to connect with. But the beautiful thing about like human connection is that it doesn't need to be your lifelong friend or your mother or whoever it is. Humans are like are so filled with joy from just pure human connection. And I think
Mhm.
when you like for me, when I remove myself from all these people that I know and love and back home and friends, right, and family, and then I come here, I've noticed how significant it was to have such a small, little, pleasant interaction with a stranger. And it's things that I think some of us take for granted, which makes sense because we don't need it. But when someone is living on their own in a new city and doesn't know anyone, the barista at the coffee shop chatting it up with me and like giving me some encouragement for like 20 seconds, that's like a mini highlight of my day. You know,
Sure.
like in the small
Enough of a highlight where you write a little song about her.
yeah, 100%, 100%. The brain's always, I'm always guys. But like those small, I didn't realize how much the small connections or seemingly insignificant
Sure.
connections actually matter and can kind
Mhm.
of maintain your mood. It doesn't need to be a deep, meaningful thing, although that's wonderful in its own aspect. But in terms of like seriously connecting and networking with people here, something that's kind of surprised me because I mean it's like every day, man. I am trying to meet people and connect with them and build relationships every single day. And that is both for careers and friendships. And that's a lot. It's a lot to like
Sure.
always trying to be like, here's my first impression. People don't make new friends for a reason. Like it's a lot to do. And I'm doing it every day.
Yeah.
So I've noticed, which has helped me, is that in my mind I'm like, oh, here we go. I'm about to like, all right, let's just do it. I'm about to meet a stranger and we're about to get into it. And it's like a lot to do, but it's more often than not warmly welcomed by the other people. And I
Yeah.
think when other people are trying to connect, it's just like who's going to say it first. And then
Sure.
once you say it, it's like, oh, thank God. Okay, let's just do it now. And you want to
Yeah.
connect. And then it's almost silly that the both of you were so nervous 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So, it's like for me, I'm getting much more comfortable putting myself in the position because I know it might be awkward. It might be like, for a little bit. It's a stranger.
Yeah.
But like, just be yourself for a little bit. And the more I am myself, the more likely they are to be themselves. And then that natural connection kind of finds its way to gel, which is just awesome. And then that's step one. Then step two would be once you connect with people, find out who do you want to connect with and why.
Mm.
And so that's So that's a whole nother challenge, but because I don't really know people, and it's tough to get to know. I'm like, I don't have a lot of time. I'm like,
Sure.
are you gonna make me better? Are you gonna make me think better? Are you gonna encourage me? Are you gonna support me? Can you help me? Can I help
Yeah.
you? And if none of those things, if we're not serving each other, I'm like, I can't waste my time. I gotta look elsewhere, or I
That's
gotta
so
look in
so
different
awesome.
places.
Yeah, man, it's kind of funny if you think about it, and like you can watch the tape again and hear you talk about like this law of connection that like is such a foreign art
Mm-hmm.
of just connecting with people, which is so ironic that we live in an age that it is, but it's the truth, right? It's the truth. I even remember a time last year where I was stuck in this misery, right? I was dealing with depression, and I was kind of talking to Christina about it. I'm like, how I know I'm like not right is like I'm walking Rover, our dog, and I can't stand but to keep my head down when I'm walking by people.
You're like, I don't
And
even
just
want
like
to. Yeah,
months later, I'm saying hello to people, this, that, and I go to Christina, like, hey, I think I'm feeling a little bit better.
yeah, that connection.
And in that connection, yeah. And it's funny how simple it is, but how difficult it might be to initially do it.
Mm-hmm.
But like I'll also say that like you don't know what that other person is going through and how a simple gesture could go such a long way.
Mm-hmm.
And you're a true testament to it. You're talking how much it means to you to get
Exactly. Yeah.
reciprocated.
Yeah.
So it's just like, good people should do good things, and it's really not that hard to do good things in this
It's really
case.
not. Like those small gestures can really have have a much bigger impact on a person's mood, which is like their day, right, their life, than you think.
Hmm.
I love that you said it though. You never know what's going on.
Never, man.
You never
It's
know.
it's really interesting, and it's probably something that I wanted to relate to, like your inner talk, right? And what everyone's inner talk with their own criticism. I want to give you your flowers here. You started posting videos and going for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure every video you're like, could be better. Could be
Yep.
better.
Yeah.
But I genuinely want to ask you, how often have you looked back and have really given yourself your own flowers and be like, man, I've really improved?
Um, Not nearly as enough as I should, and I still don't.
Because let me say this, just the other week or so, I said to myself, damn, he's gotten better.
Wait, it's funny you say that.
So
I'm
there's your
so happy
flowers.
to hear that. I'm so, although I don't want external validation, but it's pretty good when you get it sometimes. I just had this conversation with I had a songwriting session earlier with whatever some girl, um, and we were talking about that, like how we beat ourselves up about things, and then we'll look at
Yeah.
an old video or a song we worked on a month ago or whatever, and it's like, oh, it sounds so much better. And you know that you're making progress, but you're so in the
Hmm.
moment, right? It's like once you get to this level, the only thing you're thinking of is like the next level.
Sure.
It's like an endless thing. And then you look back and you're like, man, this is why it's so funny you bring it up. Because in this session with her, we were both joking around because we're posting things online because that's a big part of a network. Everyone goes, it's not what's your business card, it's what's your Instagram. I'm like,
Sure.
you have to have something there. It's tough, man. But I was like, I would love to go back and delete some of the early videos because it's the ones now are cringe. The ones then are like super cringe. I'm like, oh, but I kind of want to keep it because it is so authentic and real.
Sure.
Like this, and a handful of other people do too. I'm really trying something that is wildly new to me. And
Yeah.
if people could see, right, if this leads to no success and no career, whatever, to see someone, I think, like if I saw someone else really going for something and making progress in something, when you're like, that doesn't sound that great, it doesn't look that great. And it's like, wait, okay, it's a little better actually. I don't know. Like for me, it would totally reflect in my own life of, yeah, maybe I could like give this a shot, or maybe if you do stick with it, or You know, it's like it
Don't
fires
say
me up
maybe,
so
man.
I'm seeing those videos.
Don't say maybe. I'm not kidding. I'm not pumping your tires here. You are an inspiration to me. I'm not kidding. You are. I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy to see it. It's one of those things that, and I know you know this as a bomber, right? Like,
Mhm,
we trained so hard and we wanted to just all succeed together. And,
mhm,
like whatever that took at whatever level, and we wanted to just, rise together.
mhm.
And seeing you do your thing just seriously inspires me to keep doing my own thing. And it's
I know.
crazy. Like, I talk to
It's
my
a
board
nice dragon
members and
full
they're,
to play. It's a nice
and
dragon
that's
full to
it.
play.
And it's who you hang out with. It's who you surround yourself with. There's so much that goes into that. But like, I mean, I just asked my board members, we were talking about, the climb. This is a great way for Team Garbo to get their information out there, to get other experiences on mental health and different topics that are just like really great and relatable, and people can take it in. And we were talking at a board meeting a few weeks back, and they're like, we're talking about the climb, like some topics, this, that, and like, someone asked like, hey, is there a goal? And I'm like, yeah, 52. I want to get to 52 straight weeks of putting an episode out. And
Ooh, okay, nice.
that's hard, man. Sometimes I'm like, I don't want to do this. I had a long day. I had like 4 meetings today. I'm all
Yeah,
over the place.
yeah.
But seeing and grabbing inspiration from you, it truly helps my own process. And I know you tap into as much as external, let's call it external resources can be tapped, and you need
Hmm.
to always have this internal flame of motivation. I will tell you this: it's some of the most humbling gratifications, these random acts of appreciations by others that will always continuously keep you going.
And
So
feel the
I
tank.
hope you believe that.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I know that's genuine coming from you of all people, but
Absolutely.
you're so right though, right? No matter how small it is, if it's a genuine little like sense of encouragement or appreciation, or just like acknowledgement for like, hey, I know that you're trying your hand at something like,
Yeah.
and you don't know how this is gonna pan out, but kudos to you for like stepping right into that. It's so great to get that. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, good, because it's like I don't need that. Oh, you're doing so good. It's like you're just doing it, and
You're doing it.
that's just that's better than you're doing good. It's you. I see that you're doing it, and I think I don't know. You might have said it better than me, but right there, it's a nice little fuel along the way.
You know, and I want to like paint this picture for anyone else like in a similar situation, like both of us. This is what you're gonna see. First, you're gonna see your family, your friends, your loved ones, your close ones. They're gonna support you because they love you.
Hmm.
And you mentioned it, whether we were recording or not. Like, hey, I'll take that with a grain of salt. Like, you're always going to support me, And then sometimes
Yeah,
you're going to be like, hey, why are you doing this?
yeah,
And then you're going to have people that are you're close with that are going to support you. I'm going to tell you 2 stories that are just wild to me,
yeah.
but will always stoke the flame for me. I was living with Whiteley after
Okay.
college. We tore up the suburbs of Philly, as you were a part of.
Yes.
The fun times right there.
Sometimes.
Um, year or so later, after Whiteley and I moved out, I met Christina.
Hmm.
Then we move in. We met in Philly. Then we moved into the suburb area, legitimately like a mile away from where me and Whiteley lived.
Hmm.
Actually, Whiteley and Nicole, his wife, lived in the apartment complex right next to us. We were basically like next door
Oh, I didn't know
neighbors.
that. Okay.
Um, we just got Rover. Rover's just a little puppy at this time. Just picked him up from Lancaster, and we're taking him out to like our dog park, which is connected to the apartment complex, and for like the first time. And Christina's with me and whatnot, or she's like lagging behind, like right behind me.
Mhm.
I have a girl our age, a woman our age, across from the courtyard, being like, "Hey, I know you," and I'm like, "Oh no." This is where I used to go have fun in these neck of the woods.
I'd be nervous too.
Uh, I said, "Hi, how are you?" She's like, I know you." And I'm like, I don't think you do. And I'm like, oh, please. Like, I hope I didn't met you at a night that I don't remember.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, I know you. I know you. And I'm like, oh, well, what do you know me from? She's like, oh, you have like a YouTube page. And I'm like, and at this time, I made one video with my best friend, Frank, who's been on the Climb board member, Tim Garbo, for 40 minutes to talk about my previous hospitalization, which my last one.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really good, really raw. And I was like, I don't think you do. I mean, I have something for my nonprofit, but it's pretty small. And she's like, no, I saw the video you made. You made it in our conference room of the apartment complex. I know it's you. And I was like, whoa, like, that's
Stranger.
crazy. And I think this got like 4,000 views, which isn't a lot, but it's honestly way more, or maybe I don't know how many, 4,400, whatever it is. But she was one of them, this random person. And then she continued to open up to me how amazing it was that I was a male talking about mental health, that she was struggling with something, and like, holy crap, right?
That's great. That's
fast forward to just last week. I made a podcast talking about how it's been 4 years, the longest time I've ever been out of the hospital since I was diagnosed. And I put a story or a short on YouTube, and it's out there on my Instagram as well. But it was like more inspirational, the saying that like, don't ever think that you're not in control of your own destiny. I never look at the story. I never look at honestly anything. I try to keep my head out of like the notifications and whatnot.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I got in a rabbit hole of shorts, and I never look at shorts. I just never do. And I got sucked in on last Saturday morning because I woke up early. I keep scrolling, and I eventually scroll, and mine pops up from that week, and I see that there's a comment. Random YouTuber. I have no idea who he is. Hey, thanks, man. I really needed this.
Like just that. That's what we were saying earlier.
Right?
Just like that small little like. It wasn't this grand gesture. Just like you could tell that like no one's gonna write that and be fake about it. So, hey man, I really need that.
Yeah.
I already know how you felt when you read that. That's amazing.
I'm telling you. And the reason I bring up those stories is really to tell you that it's coming. That is coming. It starts with someone that's like your close friend, family friend. Then it comes from me. You are going to get these external pieces that you don't need to succeed, but they will fuel your fire. And I'm telling you, man, you're an absolute inspiration to me and to others out there who will be plugging your accounts once again. If you didn't follow the first time, you better follow now.
Sure that.
Mike, I think we had a great episode. Is there anything else you want to add? I feel like this was a really good one.
I don't think so. Last episode, I was like, yeah, let's do this, and I feel good. I feel great about this.
This is good, man. You're a true inspiration. Thank you so much for your friendship, and send me your address. I'm sending you the book right after we get off here.
I'll hold you to it. I will. Appreciate it. Thank you, AJ.
All right, brother. Thanks again, everyone. Thanks for joining.